Hi, I'm Nate with Practical Garden Ponds. In this video, we're going to talk about preparing for and installing your liner in your own practical dream pond. So let's get practical. In our previous video, we talked about preparing the hole for the outcome of the pond, the shape that you wanted. Now we're going to talk about preparing the hole for the liner. We use 45 mil EPDM liner, rubber liner. It's flexible enough that you don't get giant folds or big huge creases. We can fold it nicely in the pond, and yet it's durable enough that it comes with a lifetime guarantee. So we think that's where we want to be. You can get thicker, but we like it right like that. The other thing we use is underlayment underneath the liner to protect it. And again, there's other things you can do. Some people use sand. You have to be careful that you don't have, the sand isn't undermined and come out from under the liner. And some people use, carpet scraps or something like that. And again, you'd want to be careful that you don't have any tacks or staples in that. We use the 6-ounce underlay, and that works very well for us. But even so, with underlay and 45 mil EPDM rubber, you want to prepare the hole by getting rid of any sharp stones and really rough objects. So you can see that the guys have been breaking down the edges and even raking down the bottom to rake out the little rocks and stones. We break down the edges because we want our pond hole to be concave, never convex. The problem with a convex area is that ice pushes up against it. Think of it like an ice cube tray. Ice cube trays are always concave, always rise, get larger as they go up. And we want our pond to be the same way. We don't want any tight areas where the ice as it forms in the winter is going to be pushing up against it. We want openness where it's concave and the ice simply rises in the pond. So this is an example of the underlay that we're going to be using under the liner, just simply a soft but durable coating to protect the liner from sharp objects and so forth. In our case, we're going to be using 2 liners. We've got a 30 by 28 liner for the main pond, and we've got a 10 by 20 liner for the stream. We will be seaming those 2 liners together. The critical thing in seaming 2 liners is to get it real flat and smooth when you're doing the seaming so you don't get any wrinkles or bubbles in it. And we'll be using seam tape and primer, but again, most important thing is just to keep it real flat and smooth. Not that we want to hold up the progress. So you'll notice that behind me we've laid the rubber liner. That's the 30-foot wide, 38-foot long. Not long enough to go the whole way back to our filter. So we've got here in the stream a 10-foot piece, 20-foot long, 10-foot wide, 20-foot long. And we're going to seam them together here in a couple of minutes. And I just wanted to show you what we need to do that properly. First of all, we don't have any boulders in the pond, and that's so the rubber is still easily movable, so we can move it around. Once your rubber is tied down somewhere, it's very hard to get it level and straight. Secondly, you'll notice we put planks down, and we always do this when we're seaming something. You gotta have a flat, level, smooth surface to work on, or you're not gonna get a good seam. So I've got the piece of rubber coming up from the pond here, and we've got the piece of rubber coming in from the stream here. And what we'll do in a couple of minutes is we'll clean this really well. We'll clean it with paper towels and rubbing alcohol. rubbing alcohol because it evaporates quickly and doesn't leave any moisture behind. On a hot sunny day like today, you don't have to worry about getting it dry, but you do have to worry about getting it clean and then dry. Then what we're going to do is take double-sided seam tape, and we're going to put that down right along the edge of the first piece, right after we use primer. So we're going to put down the primer with a brush it on. Then we're going to pull as much as we need of the double-sided seam tape. And then we're going to take this second piece of liner and overlap the seam tape. We're going to put primer on it first, let the primer dry for about a minute, and we're going to lay that down on top of here. And then we're going to use cover tape to go over that seam, the edge that's left, the open, it's not open, but the edge that's left, we're going to go over it with the cover tape. It's not really necessary to use both tapes. Either one would do the job, but by doing both, we're just going to guarantee ourselves a seal that'll never have a problem. As long as you get that nice and flat, and you don't have any creases or wrinkles, and you get the primer on, and you let the primer get tacky, and you put the pieces together again without any wrinkles or folds, this seam will be better than the rest of the liner. It'll be extremely thick, durable, and long-lasting. It's tremendous stuff. Works really well. So to recap, first we prepared the hole. We pulled out every sharp object and tried to make everything smooth and concave. Then we laid underlay all over the entire pond, at least one layer. Then we centered the pond liner in the pond so that it'll reach equally up all sides. Now we're seaming the riverbed liner to the pond liner so that there won't be any chance of leak between the two liners. On our next video, we're going to talk about four-fold filtration. In the meantime, if I can help you with anything, I'm Nate at Practical Garden Ponds. Don't hesitate to contact us. Have a great day.